You know, I've been thinking a lot about intelligence lately. Our universe doesn't have a brain, right? No gray matter, no neurons firing. And yet, what if intelligence isn't actually produced by physical structures like our brains? What if it's something that exists and evolves on its own? I came across this fascinating hypothesis from Douglas Youvan, a biophysicist and mathematician who spent decades at the intersection of physics, biology, and information theory. After years of research in enzyme engineering and machine vision, combined with his deep knowledge of genetics, he came to a remarkable realization. As he puts it, I began to see that life and intelligence weren't just reactive. They were predictive, efficient, and often mathematically elegant. Eventually, he started to believe that intelligence isn't something produced by the brain, but rather a fundamental property of the universe itself, like an informational ether that certain structures, such as our brains or AI models, can tap into. His work with artificial intelligence only strengthened this hypothesis. With AI advancing so rapidly, Youvan felt that many insights came so quickly that they seemed more discovered than invented, almost as if researchers were pulling them out of some universal ether where they already existed. He suspects intelligence might originate from what he calls an informational substrate of the universe, a pre-physical foundation where structure, logic, and potential exist before space and time as we know them. Part of Youvan's inspiration comes from quantum theory, where outcomes remain probabilistic until observed, like Schrodinger's cat being both alive and dead until someone opens the box. Similarly, maybe our neurons don't create intelligence themselves, but instead connect us to something much larger that exists outside of us. This process might be evolving on its own in a recursive way, similar to how fractal structures appear throughout nature, from crystals to galaxies, copying themselves at increasingly smaller scales. Our neurons, with their own fractal structure, might be specifically designed to interface with this universal intelligence. On the other end of the spectrum, there's Keith Frankish, a philosopher who sees things quite differently. While Youvan envisions intelligence existing without consciousness as an elegant algorithm or a perfectly adapted organism, Frankish believes consciousness and intelligence are intertwined. He doesn't necessarily see consciousness as an illusion, but suggests it might not be what we think it is. Frankish explains we learn about the world through perceptual systems that evolved to supply us with information useful for survival. Similarly, we learn about our own minds through evolved self-monitoring systems. But in both cases, these systems are selective and distorting. They give us the information we need to survive and flourish, not a complete and accurate picture. He uses the illusion of objects underwater as an analogy. When you look at your feet in a pool, they appear distorted. That doesn't mean your feet are actually changing shape. What you see isn't an exact reflection of reality. Our perception and introspection can selectively distort things in similar ways. So far, there's been no way to quantify or scientifically define consciousness or intelligence, which is why we often resort to metaphors and illusions to explain them. Frankish believes we can take something we observe and build entire belief systems around it. Just because land appears flat to the horizon doesn't mean the entire planet is flat. If there's one thing these two thinkers might agree on, it's the elegance of it all. Frankish sees this elegance in physical terms. We are products of the most amazing design process, not intelligent design, but billions of years of natural selection. Evolution cannot see ahead, but it has equipped us beautifully for the niches we inhabit. Frankish remains open to the idea of a conscious, intelligent universe if it can somehow be observed. And while Youvan believes science might someday model aspects of consciousness like attention and decision-making, he thinks consciousness itself can't be reduced to components. As Youvan puts it, science excels at describing behavior and structure, but consciousness may ultimately be more like a point of view, a subjective presence that resists objective reduction. If anything, I think a unified theory of consciousness will come from a fusion of physics, computation, and metaphysics. The question that lingers for me is, if intelligence does exist outside our bodies and minds, How do we harness it? How do we tap into this universal source? Perhaps that's the next frontier of our exploration.